We're continuing our discussion on workers' compensation with Catherine Stone from Injury Florida Law. Today, she's tackling an employee's income at the time of an accident on the job, which I'm assuming you're going to tell us why that is so important.
Yes, it is.
Need to know, right?
So it's not just important to know what you were making with the employer, which the employer is required to complete what's called an average weekly wage form. It's called a wage statement, where they actually provide us with not only copies of your payroll, but they also have to provide us the value of any health insurance or any fringe benefits that the employer pays for.
Okay.
Because that all comes into play into your average weekly wage, which is utilized in determining how much you are eligible in lost wage income with regards to workers' compensation. And we previously just talked in the last time we spoke about the different classifications of wage loss. But for purposes of figuring out that average weekly wage and that wage statement, there is the ability to include what's called concurrent earnings. So for instance, I have several clients that they had a part-time job, or maybe they got injured on their part-time job. And so we are able to bring in those additional wages at the time of the accident to increase the value of that average weekly wage, because that wouldn't be fair. If you go out of work or you lose time and money from work, you should be compensated and utilizing an average weekly wage that is from all of your employment. Now, where people kind of come into a problem is, let's say they're working on the side, or maybe it's a cash pay business, or they're a 1099, for whatever it may be, you still have to, it has to be income that is reportable to the IRS, and that you have reported or that you will be reporting to the IRS. So a lot of times I will have individuals come in with some cash pay jobs on the side, and I'll have to explain to them, well, you have to report this on your income, your tax return, in order for it to be eligible for being included in your average weekly wage. So it's not just, hey, I was going and doing this job and got this extra money. It has to be documented, and it has to be documented through whatever other employment that you are doing. I have a lot of clients that, are driving for Uber or Lyft. That income can be utilized to increase that average weekly wage, so that's always important to know. And it's just really important to make sure that, especially, that and it's wages at the time of the accident or during the 13 weeks prior to the accident. So let's say you start driving for Uber or Lyft after your accident, that's not going to increase your average weekly wage. You are set with that average weekly wage as of the date of the accident.
What about if say the driving for the Uber or Lyft has not been 13 weeks prior? You still can include it. Let's say you only worked part-time or started midway through that 13 weeks. We're still able to include it. Just it's not going to be the same thing as what you would have gotten had it been the full 13 weeks. Again, I know so many of your segments are based on the phone calls you get, so it is always good to hear that people do have questions out there. It's great that you educate us on these kind of things.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times when I'm preparing for these shows, it's, okay, what questions have I answered this week? Or what questions have I answered in the last month?
Well, you know what? If you still have more questions, well, of course, give Catherine a call. We've got her phone number, website right there on your screen, and the new address. Of course, congrats on the new office as well. Go visit her or contact her in any of those ways. Thank you so much for joining us.